Queer history is a challenging story to tell. The stories don't shout, they whisper, and any story of the lives of people who today might define as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex, non-binary or queer are often eroded, concealed, and sometimes actively destroyed.
Despite this, people who did not fit the rigid moulds of society have always found ways to meet each other, gather together and live full, complete lives. Today, we are lucky enough to have access to the Brunel Museum, and beneath our feet, the very first underwater tunnel built anywhere in the world. It was the brainchild of Sir Mark Brunel, and the first project that his son, Isambard Kingdom Brunel, worked on as lead engineer. Myself and Sheldon are going to be exploring how a space like this can resonate for LGBTQ+ people.
The tunnel was a wonder of engineering when it was constructed. Originally built for transportation and commerce, people would come to visit from across the globe and might even pay local women along the sides to give them a peep show, a view of the work going on behind the scenes. When it was completed, it was an underground passage where people would walk from Wapping under the River Thames to Rotherhithe on the other side.
The tunnel was an undercurrent of people flowing beneath the beating heart of London. In this area of London in the 1800s, there was a thriving underbelly of people, a mixture of sailors from the nearby docks, families and workers from Chinatown. The working class labourers, rough sleepers and East End cockney characters, this would have had its own bars, pubs and brothels, catering for all manner of people who wouldn't have fitted into the neat boxes of polite society.
In our time working on the history of heritage sites, cemeteries and public spaces, one of the things to acknowledge is that throughout history, LGBTQ+ identifying people often have to make use of strange seeming spaces as safe, discreet places to meet each other away from the public gaze. The term cruising describes the way in which mostly gay, bisexual or queer men can meet each other in public and then find secluded areas for sex and intimacy.
This has become somewhat of a negative stereotype attributed to gay men of being promiscuous and indecent, but really this came about as a response to persecution. Men have been meeting this way in public spaces for hundreds of years, be it St James Park in the 19th century to Hampstead Heath today. This practice continues to today, as uncomfortable as it might make some people feel. It is just one small part of the history of gay men in this country, on how we've adapted to outward hostility and vilification.
Prostitution, rent boys and sex work were well known and quietly tolerated trades across London, and we know for sure that this particular part of London was a hub. Traditionally, this kind of work has also been met with criticism, with the presumption that it was non-consensual, abusive and criminal. In some cases it was, in others it wasn't. The past is a complex and fully realised place, and these sex workers have lives too. Coincidentally, many of them today may have defined as queer.
These overlapping communities were active right below our feet, and they're one of the reasons it got its nickname, Hades Hotel.